Hey everyone, welcome back to Homestead Corner. Today I want to go over 10 essential self-reliance skills. So today I just wanted to go over 10 essential self-reliance skills. I think self-reliance skills are so important. We stock up, we prepare, things like that. But in the event of a long-term disaster or emergency, in the event of a collapse, if the whole grid went down for an extended period of time, those type of things, eventually what we've stocked up is going to run out. So I think it is extremely important that we have at least a few essential skills so we can, after the stores run out or when they get low, we want to make sure we're able to continue to keep the food coming, take care of our families, do the things that we need to do. So today I thought I'd just go over real quick, just 10 essential self-reliance skills. So these are all things that we can work on and work on those skills. There are tons and tons of videos out there on all of this. I have videos on most of these things, and they're just things that don't cost you any money, but skills can be the thing that's going to save your life. So the first thing is seed saving. I think seed saving is so important. Really, it is not difficult to do. It just takes a little bit of practice, and just watching a few videos and doing it a couple of times, I really think it is simple enough for most people to get this skill down, really, so they can save their seeds. You want to make sure that when you're planting seeds that you already have or you've purchased, if you're going to want to get the same vegetables out of those seeds, they're going to need to be heirloom. When you use hybrid seeds, they use a mother plant and a father plant to cross-pollinate, and you may get a certain vegetable the first time, but when you collect the seeds out of that, the next one could be you don't know what's going to come out of it. So it could be anything. So heirloom seeds are really great, so you know what you're going to get each time. So we always try to make sure that they're heirloom seeds, non-GMO if possible, and, do the best you can is really how I feel as far as seeds go. Not everything is a given. You do the best you can. And the second thing that I think is really important as well, something that we all have to know how to do, is composting. That's another really easy skill. It's just a matter of, instead of tossing out those wilty greens or the cutoffs from your carrots, just collecting them all together and putting them in a compost pile. Turning your compost pile and giving it air is going to help it break down faster. The smaller the pieces in it, the faster it will break down. But that compost turns into the most beautiful black gold for your gardens, so you can continue to raise your own food, which is a good thing. And the third thing is food preservation. I have a ton of videos on canning. We do dehydrating, we do freezing. Freezing is one of those things that I really like, the flavor and the texture of the foods when they're frozen, but they're not shelf stable. If the grid goes down, you've got to figure out another way to preserve all those foods so you don't lose them. So making sure that you can on an open fire. And water bath canning is really just a pot with a rack in the bottom, so the boiling water can get all around those jars. It does not have to be a special pot. It can be any pot. For a long time, I didn't own a water bath canner. For probably 10 years of canning, I didn't own a water bath canner because I just had a pot and I had a little metal round cake rack that fit in the bottom, and it worked. So that's all it really has to be. A canner is wonderful if you have one, but if you don't, you can make do without it. And as far as pressure canners go, it's USDA approved to can a lot of your low acid foods and meats with a pressure canner, but the Amish, most of them do not use any pressure canners. Most countries around the world don't have access to pressure canners. They water bath everything. And there are tons of videos on how to water bath meat and vegetables and things like that out there. So I think those are just, you have to know how to do this stuff, I think, because it's so important. If you can't preserve food, you won't be eating in the winter. And number 4, foraging. Foraging, once you get the hang of it and you get to learn different plants and things and which trees are edible, which pine needles are edible, things like that. There is so much food out there. And back in the Depression, a lot of people, that's how they supplemented their gardens. They couldn't grow quite enough food, a lot of people, so they would go out and forage and get the wild blueberries and, white pine needles for tea, for coughs and colds and things like that. There's just so much out there on foraging and being able to get the things that you need. There's medicine, there's food, there's just so much. And number 5, knowing first aid, knowing how to do that stuff, and home remedies, things like that with your herbs and things that you grow in your garden. Knowing how to make different things is really great, so you can help your family get through colds and infections and all sorts of stuff. So we just want to make sure we've got those skills down. And I have done a few different herbal things on the channel. I've got a few more things planned. If there's something in particular that you guys are looking for, let me know. And if I can do it, I can make a video on it for you. And there are thousands and thousands and millions of videos on YouTube in every category, I believe. And number 6, animal care. Knowing how to take care of animals. We may not have grocery stores or other people to depend on. You may be the only one that knows, how to raise an animal. You could definitely help other people. And starting with chickens and things like that. Chickens are really easy. Keeping them clean, dry, fed, and lots of fresh water. That really is as hard as it gets. They're not real difficult to take care of. As you get into larger animals, they can definitely be a little bit more difficult and delicate, and you may need a little bit more skills. But we have raised all kinds of animals here, and it's really not as hard as a lot of people think. Good fencing is a huge deal when you have bigger animals. And number 7, I know a lot of people don't like the idea of this, but butchering animals. Being able to butcher the animals is another really big deal. I don't normally raise meat birds, chickens for meat. Normally, I buy my meat at the grocery store because I don't like to do it. But I know how, I have done it, and I know that when the time comes, if I have to, I can. And having that is a really good thing. We raised meat birds a few times just to make sure that we had the skills, we knew how to do it, so we could do it in a pretty timely manner, and it was humane for the animals. And number 8, finding off-grid water, whether that's installing a point well, collecting water, learning where your local water sources are so you can go collect water there, learning how to filter water. All those things are really important for off-grid water. Making sure that you have got some for your family. We all store water in our homes and in our stores, things like that. We keep a good amount of water, but that water will run out faster than you can ever imagine in a long-term emergency. You're going to have to be able to collect water or find water or whatever you have to do, and then filter the water to make sure it's clean and safe to drink. And number 9, basic cooking over an open fire, I think, is really important. If the gas goes out, the electricity is down, all you have got is a place to make a fire outside. If that is all you have, then knowing how to do that is really important. And also taking things from your pantry and just kind of throwing it together and making a meal. back in the Depression, they had like Depression soup. They would just toss in whatever there was. If it was a potato and, you know, a pork chop or whatever they could find, it just, everything went in a pot, and they called it Depression soup. And it was really watery, but there was some nourishment in there, and it worked to keep their families fed. And number 10, heating your home independently, not being reliant on gas or other things where you have to rely on someone else to get it to you, or you have to be able to buy it. In a long-term situation, we may not be able to get our hands on gas or get refills for our tanks or anything like that. So, and we may have to use, you know, fire for heat and cooking. So I think it's really important to get those skills down and make sure that you're able to find the firewood, collect the firewood, and figure out how to make the fire so it will stay running, and learn how to cook on it and heat with it, because when you get a wood stove going, it is just blasting in the house. You can turn those down. You know, you can lower things down, close dampers. You can make it so it is much more comfortable, and you can also adjust things while you're cooking, and that can be helpful so you don't just char everything you throw on it. But I think these 10 skills are essential. There are lots and lots of self-reliance skills that you can learn, but I really think that focusing on the first 10 of complete survival, I mean, all of these things will help you survive. And having these skills under your belt is really wonderful to have. It's nice to know that no matter what, you're going to be able to take care of your family, and you're going to have these skills which don't cost you anything to learn. A lot of these are just a matter of going out, you know, and trying it. That's it for today. I hope you liked the video, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.